A once famous chef, renowned throughout the Citadel for their culinary genius, now hides amongst the roaches of Sinner's Road in shameful exile. The disgraced chef Lugoli was, according to the Hunter's Journal, removed from the Citadel for repeated culinary crimes. Now that at first might seem a joke, but only after defeating the chef and returning to their lair might we uncover the sinister nature of these crimes. Sinner's Road is notorious for its muck roach farming to provide sustenance for its denizens, and initially, it seems Lugoli is simply in the business of making this rotten meat more savory. Returning after Hornet defeats them, however, reveals their sous chefs carving up Lugoli's own body to prepare for dishes. Using Silksong here takes Hornet to a secret pickling room in the depths of Lugoli's depravity. The haunting, a silk-born affliction that causes madness across Farloom, claimed the chef, who began making dishes out of fellow bugs. Husks, shells, corpses of citizens were used, and likely what led to Lugoli's exile, but here, the work continued. Beside roaches, we see corpses of civilized bugs preserved in pickling jars. To play the needle in reveals a memory. This holy taste, shells to soak and define, Farloom's flavor, Farloom's soul, preserved, remembered, from you all, for you all, essence, true essence. In a very Soylent Green moment, these chilling words hint that Lugoli spiced their dishes with essence derived from the shells of Farloom's pilgrims. Styx is a bug found near the confluence of Sinner's Road, Bilewater, and Greymoor that raises silk eaters and offers his service to Hornet after she saves him from muck roaches. Despite his massive size, Styx is a timid and submissive bug, stating that he's Hornet's new slave. Playing the needle in gives this monologue. Our nest, our heaven, seek and hide. The weak must serve, the strong provide. Nearby, the Huntress is a bug like Styx in stature and appearance, but completely the opposite in personality. This is a subtle clue that Styx might not be what he appears. After acquiring the Silksong ability in Act 3, Hornet can enter Styx's nest, the walls of which are adorned with a wide array of bug masks he's collected. Playing the needle in here shows a silk memory of an unmasked Styx deciding what form he will take. The one to fear, my strength or theirs. Who to be? The one who breeds, who is me? The bug is a shapeshifter, a master of disguise using the faces and identities of other, stronger bugs to hide his own weak nature. When playing in Steel Soul mode, Styx dies and another bug, Skinks, hides in shadows near the nest. Rather than providing silk eaters, Skinks demands them of Hornet. Like Styx, this one is apprehensive. Its face appears different at first, but if you rotate it 180 degrees, looks eerily similar, suggesting perhaps it has stolen Styx's collection of masks. The haunted surgical bays of White Ward harbor many secrets, but perhaps the most intriguing lies in hidden corridors near the top right of the region. This place once functioned as a hospital that both forcefully injected bugs with silk to extend life and ripped it from their husks as death approached. The unraveled creatures are the macabre results of generations of Frankenstein-like experiments. But in this chamber, we see White Ward's largest silk threshing machine. Next to it lie canisters of lumaflies. Lumaflies were present to illuminate the kingdom of Hallownest in Hollow Knight, and they reappear in Farloom. Theories and lore hints suggested lumaflies might be tied to the soul that exists within bugs, and in White Ward we get confirmation. Playing the needle in here arouses tragic memories. Please remember my voice, to serve beyond shell, to devote eternal. Why this pain? Must we? This would suggest when a bug of the Citadel is beyond healing and is exhausted even of silk reserves. The dregs of their soul are stripped from them and converted into lumaflies. Even in death, they're bound to servitude. The next room is piled with the corpses of all those whose souls have been taken from them. In Far Fields, as Hornet makes her way to the seamstress, she passes a monstrous but derelict machine. This is a chorus, a cogwork creation of the Citadel to build the church and destroy its enemies. What's not so obvious is that there's a small pin, a bug sword, jammed in its carapace, suggesting a battle. 3 sisters were once pinstresses, masters in the way of the sword, and employed by the Citadel. The seamstress was one such sister, but at some point in the past the Citadel turned against them and sent its cogwork legions to crush them. I've no love for that holy caste, and I do worry for this kingdom's ailing state. Though her sister far to the west remains a pinstress, the seamstress has renounced her ways and gone into hiding, turning her experience instead to weaving and stitchwork. Small clues still point to her old vocation. We see pins resting inside her floating house, and when the 4th chorus came, the legendary pinstress used her blades to defeat it. The story of the seamstress leads to another secret, the fate of her sisters. As mentioned, the pinstress is found in Farloom's sand-blasted wastes, and the seamstress in the far fields. But what happened to the 3rd sister? The choked swamps of Bilewater are the chosen refuge of the Stilkin bugs and their leader Groll the Great. As the journal entry of Groll and the Needlein Song of the Stilkin relate, the bugs of Bilewater and the putrefied ducks rebelled against the Citadel, whose waste turned their lands toxic. Through violence, they maintained their independence. The ducks and Bilewater soon became a haven for other enemies of the church. When the pinstress sisters were hunted by the Citadel, it seems one made her home within the ducks. We see the tattered remains of their hovels here, and a corpse that holds the wreath of purity. A woven wreath that repels Bilewater's muck maggots. Playing the Needlein reveals a memory. Feared by all, must we hide? Revered by all, dear sisters, must we hide? This corpse is the fallen 3rd sister. We see a pin sword close to her body. It would seem that with the wreath and with a Stilkin disguise, the 3rd sister attempted to hide within Bilewater's ranks. The simplest explanation of her fate is that the church discovered her home and silenced her. But another is that the Stilkin of Bilewater slew the 3rd pinstress. As we see with the snail shaman who entreated their kind, the residents of Bilewater hold little respect for any outsider. Out of anger or spite, they may have destroyed the 3rd famed pinstress. Progressing the quest of Greyroot, a plant-like creature in Shellwood Forest who prepares for the ritual of rebirth, sees a parasite implanted inside Hornet's shell. While afflicted with the twisted bud, Hornet's unable to heal, unable to use or regenerate her full silk reserves, a symbol of the parasite's ravenous hunger for silk, soul, and power. The creature is tied to one of Hollow Knight Silksong's many endings, but suffering from the condition also opens up interesting interaction and dialogues. One of them involves the jailers of the Slab who try to capture Hornet with cages bound with the same silk runes as those that tethered Hornet at the beginning of the game. This time, however, the bud within Hornet lashes out, breaks free from the cage, and slaughters the jailer. This shows not only the parasite's desire for self-preservation, but I think also what it might look like without Hornet's will to control it. See, the ruined cage drains Hornet of her powers and mitigates her silk skills. It could be that she's expending all of her energy keeping the twisted bud in check, that when her source is suddenly cut, the parasite violently bursts out. Another interesting interaction is that when Hornet dies while in this condition, even her cocoon is wrapped in the bud's pulsing tendrils. An abandoned sand-ruined village rests on the roof of the world. On the surface, high above Farloom and separated by a formidable platforming gauntlet, the nameless town holds silent vigil as the observer of the Pale Monarch and the Weaver's evil. At the end, one lone bug's corpse, preserved through generation of calcification, holds on to the memory of what once was but will never be. Playing the Needlein here reveals, from depths below, the weaving ones beckon, friends seduced, sweet promises whispered, now only the wind. The nameless town is a remnant of the days before Grandmother Silk arrived, before she elevated the weavers as her children and gifted them the ability of enchanting music that enthralled lesser bugs. For reasons unclear, this bug resisted their allure but watched helpless as the rest of the town were caught in the web, brought to Farloom, and made slaves of the Eternal Project. This village joins the ranks of Karak, Verdania, and the Ant Marches as ruined regions in crumbling kingdoms, hopeless to resist the Pale Monarch and her weavers. Thanks so much for watching this video on 7 lore secrets in Hollow Knight Silksong. Let me know what juicy lore tidbits you've uncovered, as well as other characters or stories from Silksong you'd like to learn more about in the comments below. And if you're a fan of lore and storytelling, be sure to subscribe to the channel where content is uploaded frequently. I want to take a moment to thank all of my patrons over on Patreon. Their support means the world to me and helps the channel continue to improve. If you'd like to become a lore luminary for access to me, written scripts, and early video drops, head to patreon.com/thelorebrarians to learn more. Until next time, go forth and explore the lore.